The morning sun streamed through the tall windows of Courtroom 307, casting long shadows across the polished wooden benches. Superior Court Judge Miguel Ramirez adjusted his reading glasses, trying to focus on the custody file before him. At 42, he had earned his reputation as one of Los Angeles' most respected jurists, known for his careful deliberation and unwavering fairness in family court matters. Next case, he announced, his voice carrying the weight of authority earned over 15 years in the legal system. The bailiff, Officer Thompson, called out the case number with practiced efficiency. Case number 2025, FC 143, custody hearing for Maya Chen. The courtroom doors swung open, and a well-dressed woman in her mid-30s entered, holding the hand of a small girl in a sunshine yellow dress. The child's patent leather shoes clicked against the marble floor, echoing in the hushed chamber. Her dark hair was neatly arranged in 2 braids, tied with yellow ribbons that matched her dress. Miguel's eyes dropped to the file, scanning the details before looking up to address the parties. It was then that the little girl's voice pierced the formal atmosphere. "That's my daddy." Maya's finger pointed directly at him, her voice filled with certainty and joy. The declaration hung in the air like suspended time. The courtroom, usually a symphony of whispers, paper shuffling, and typing, fell into complete silence. Miguel's hand froze mid-page turn, his heart suddenly thundering in his chest. The girl's mother, Jennifer Park, stood paralyzed, her designer briefcase slipping from her grasp and landing with a soft thud on the carpet. Officer Thompson stepped forward instinctively, though there was no real threat to manage, only the weight of a truth that had just shattered the ordinary morning routine. The court reporter's fingers hovered over her stenotype machine, uncertain whether to record this unexpected outburst. Miguel studied the child's face, and the world seemed to tilt on its axis. Her eyes, those warm brown eyes with distinctive golden flecks, mirrored his own. The dimple in her left cheek when she smiled was exactly like the one he saw in his own childhood photos. Even the way she stood, with her head slightly tilted to the right, was hauntingly familiar. "Your Honor," Jennifer began, her voice trembling slightly, "I apologize for the disruption. Perhaps we should request a different judge for this case." Her composed exterior cracked just enough to reveal the anxiety beneath. Miguel cleared his throat, trying to find his judicial voice beneath the personal earthquake shaking his foundation. "Yes, of course," he managed, turning to his clerk, Lisa Martinez. "Please arrange for Judge Thompson to take over this case immediately." His words came out steady, though his hand shook slightly as he reached for his water glass. Maya continued to stare at him, her smile unwavering, while the adults around her moved in slow motion. She swayed in her yellow dress, seemingly unaware of the magnitude of her announcement. To her, it was simple truth, the kind that only children can deliver with such innocent clarity. "Court is in recess for 15 minutes, Miguel announced, rising from the bench. The gallery erupted in hushed whispers as he retreated to his chambers, his robes feeling heavier than usual. Through the closing door, he heard Maya's clear voice one more time. "Mommy, why is Daddy wearing that black dress?" The sound of his heart pounding nearly drowned out the gentle click of his chamber door closing behind him. Miguel sank into his leather chair, loosened his collar, and pulled out his phone. There, in his photo gallery, was a picture from his Stanford law days, himself and Jennifer Park at a law school fundraiser, both young and full of dreams, neither knowing that this moment would echo through time into this extraordinary morning. Inside his chambers, Miguel loosened his bow tie and stared at the Stanford graduation photo on his desk. The memory of 2018 rushed back with startling clarity. The year he'd met Jennifer Park at the university's Economic Justice Symposium. She had challenged his presentation on wealth inequality in the court system, her brilliant counter-arguments leaving him both impressed and intrigued. Their romance had bloomed in the halls of the law library, between stacks of case law books and late-night study sessions. Jennifer's passion for international development matched his dedication to legal reform. They'd spend hours at Coupa Cafe, sharing dreams over cappuccinos and planning futures that seemed perfectly aligned, until they weren't. His phone buzzed, interrupting his reverie. A text from Isabella, his wife. "Everything okay?" Court clerk called about an emergency. Miguel's fingers hovered over the keyboard, unsure how to compress this morning's earthquake into a simple message. A knock at his chamber door made him look up. Lisa Martinez, his clerk of 5 years, entered with a manila envelope. "Judge, the court records you requested about Ms. Park's case." She paused, then added gently, "And Ms. Park's attorney called. They're requesting an immediate DNA test." Miguel nodded, reaching for the envelope with a hand that betrayed the slightest tremor. Inside, he found Jennifer's initial custody filing. Maya's birth date jumped off the page. March 15, 2019. 9 months after Jennifer had taken that World Bank position in D.C., 9 months after their goodbye dinner at that little Thai restaurant near campus, where they'd wished each other well, believing their paths were diverging naturally. He opened his laptop, finding himself typing Jennifer's name into LinkedIn before he could stop himself. Her profile showed an impressive career trajectory. World Bank, United Nations Development Program, and now a senior economic advisor for a major tech company in Los Angeles. The profile picture showed her at a conference podium, confident and accomplished, exactly as he'd imagined she'd become. The DNA test was scheduled for the following morning at a private medical facility. Miguel sat in the sterile waiting room, watching Maya through the glass partition as she charmed the lab technician with stories about her pet goldfish named Sparkles. Jennifer stood in the corner, her usual composure fractured by nervous glances in his direction. "She has your eyes," Jennifer said softly, breaking the tense silence. "And your habit of tilting your head when you're curious about something. I noticed it the first time she did it at 8 months old." Her voice caught slightly. "I should have told you then." The results arrived a week later while Miguel was reviewing cases in his home office. Isabella sat beside him as he opened the email, her hand steady on his shoulder. The scientific confirmation felt almost redundant. He'd known the truth the moment he saw Maya's smile, the same smile that beamed from his childhood photos. That evening, as the Los Angeles sunset painted his hillside home in shades of orange and pink, Miguel sat in his backyard, phone in hand. A text from Jennifer lit up his screen, a photo of Maya holding up a crayon drawing. It showed 2 figures, one in a black robe behind a big desk, the other in a yellow dress. Between them, she'd drawn a bright red heart. The caption read, "She's been drawing these all week. I think we need to talk about how to move forward. She deserves to know her father." Isabella Ramirez stood in the operating room of Children's Hospital Los Angeles, completing her final surgery of the day, a complex cardiac procedure on a newborn. Her skilled hands moved with precision, but her mind kept drifting to the conversation awaiting her at home. After 6 years of marriage to Miguel, she thought she knew every chapter of his story. Now there was a whole volume she'd never known existed. The drive home along the sunset-streaked streets of Los Angeles gave her time to process. She dedicated her life to helping children, and now a child had entered her own life in the most unexpected way. As she pulled into their driveway in Silver Lake, she spotted Miguel sitting on their porch steps, 2 cups of tea steaming beside him. "I picked up your favorite green tea from that Japanese market you love," he said as she approached. It was these small gestures that had made her fall in love with him. His ability to care for others, even when his own world was spinning. "I spoke with Jennifer today," he continued as Isabella settled beside him. "She suggested we all meet this weekend, neutral territory, at the Griffith Observatory. Maya loves the planetarium shows." His voice caught slightly on Maya's name, still new and precious on his tongue. Isabella wrapped her hands around the warm teacup. "I keep thinking about Maya's mother," she said softly. "How scared she must have been, making that decision alone." The surgeon in her understood difficult choices, the kind that seemed impossible either way. Inside their home, photographs traced their life together. Their wedding in Miguel's parents' backyard, holidays in Mexico, Isabella's medical school graduation. Now these memories would need to make room for new ones that included a bright-eyed little girl in a yellow dress. The next morning, Jennifer arrived at her office at the tech company's downtown headquarters to find an email from Isabella. The subject line read, "About Maya." Her hand trembled slightly as she clicked it open. "Dear Jennifer, I'm writing not as Miguel's wife, but as someone who wants what's best for Maya. I've spent my career healing children's hearts, and I promise to do everything I can to protect Maya's. I know this situation is complex, but perhaps we can navigate it together. Isabella." Jennifer sat back in her ergonomic chair, tears threatening to spill. For 6 years, she'd carried the weight of her decision alone. Now, unexpectedly, she found support from the last person she'd expected to offer it. That evening, as Maya played with her blocks in their Marina del Rey apartment, Jennifer watched her daughter carefully construct a tower. "Mommy, can I bring my telescope to show Judge Miguel? I mean, to show Dad." The word Dad hung in the air, new and uncertain. Meanwhile, Miguel faced his own challenges at the courthouse. He requested a temporary reassignment from family court, his integrity demanding complete separation from any cases that might intersect with his personal situation. His colleagues supported him, but whispers followed him down the courthouse corridors. As the sun set over Los Angeles, 3 separate households prepared for the changes ahead. Isabella practiced saying Maya in front of her bathroom mirror, imagining a child's drawings on their spotless refrigerator. Jennifer sorted through years of photos, creating a digital album titled For Miguel, Maya's First Years. And Miguel sat in his home office, carefully wrapping a beginner's astronomy book he'd bought that morning, hoping his daughter shared his love of the stars. The Getty Center's gardens bloomed with summer roses as Miguel and Maya walked hand in hand along the winding paths. Their Saturday morning visits had become a cherished ritual over the past month, each weekend bringing them closer together. Maya skipped beside him, her rainbow sneakers lighting up with each step, while she pointed out her favorite sculptures with the enthusiasm only a 6-year-old could muster. "Dad, look at that one. It looks like a giant spoon." Maya tugged at his hand, leading him toward a modern art installation. Miguel still felt his heart skip whenever she called him Dad, the word both foreign and deeply familiar, like a song he'd always known but never heard. Isabella joined them most weekends, her surgical schedule permitting. Today, she carried a picnic basket filled with homemade treats, including her grandmother's secret recipe churros that had Maya bouncing with anticipation. The 3 found a quiet spot overlooking the Los Angeles skyline, spreading out their checkered blanket on the manicured lawn. "Maya, want to learn how the churros get their special shape?" Isabella asked, pulling out a fresh batch wrapped in wax paper. Maya nodded eagerly, scooting closer to her stepmother. Isabella's hands, so skilled in performing delicate heart surgeries, now guided tiny fingers in tracing the star-shaped pattern of the pastries. Watching them together, Miguel snapped a photo and sent it to Jennifer. Their co-parenting relationship had evolved into something unexpected, a partnership built on Maya's joy. Jennifer replied almost immediately with a heart emoji and a message. She's been practicing making paper churros all week for this. Later that afternoon, as Maya explored the museum's family room, Isabella touched Miguel's arm gently. "I found a children's art class they offer here monthly," she said. "I thought maybe we could sign her up." Jennifer mentioned she loves painting. The suggestion represented more than just an art class. It was Isabella carving out space in their life for Maya, creating new traditions. Miguel squeezed her hand in silent gratitude. Their peaceful afternoon was interrupted by a call from Jennifer. Maya's stepdad, James Wilson, had seen their photos on social media and expressed concerns about the increasing time Maya spent with Miguel. The delicate balance they'd struck felt suddenly precarious. "Maybe we should all have dinner together," Isabella suggested after Miguel shared the news. "Not at a restaurant, at our house. I can teach Maya to make my mom's enchiladas." Her voice held the same determined tone she used when preparing for challenging surgeries. The following Friday, their modern Silver Lake home filled with the aroma of Mexican spices. Maya stood on a stepping stool at the kitchen counter, her small hands covered in flour, as Isabella taught her the proper way to press tortillas. The doorbell rang, and Jennifer arrived with James, tension visible in their postures. But something unexpected happened over dinner. James, a tech executive who'd raised Maya for 5 years, found common ground with Miguel discussing the challenges of California's education system. Jennifer and Isabella discovered they shared a passion for hiking, exchanging favorite trail recommendations in the Santa Monica Mountains. Maya watched the adults with quiet satisfaction, her eyes bright as she observed her expanding family finding ways to connect. When she spilled her agua fresca, instead of tears, the shared laughter that followed broke the last bits of ice. As the evening wound down, Maya fell asleep on the living room couch, her head resting on Isabella's lap, while her hands clutched the new art supplies Miguel had bought her. James helped gather her things, pausing to share his daughter's art class schedule with Miguel, an olive branch extended with grace. "She has enough love for all of us," Isabella whispered, stroking Maya's hair. "And so do we." The Los Angeles Times headline glared from Miguel's tablet. Superior Court Judge's secret child raises questions about family court integrity. The morning sun filled his home office, but the warmth couldn't chase away the chill of public scrutiny. James Wilson's petition for continued paternity rights had thrust their private matter into the spotlight. Isabella found him still staring at the article an hour later. "Mi amor," she said softly, setting down his favorite coffee mug. "Rose is asking if she can take Maya to the botanical gardens today. She thinks it might be good to get her away from." She gestured at the stack of newspapers on his desk, all variations on the same story. Rosa Martinez Ramirez, Isabella's mother, had become Maya's unexpected sanctuary in the storm. The retired school teacher had a gift for making complicated things simple. "Families are like gardens," she told Maya last week while tending to her prize orchids. "Sometimes new flowers bloom where you least expect them, making everything more beautiful." At the Los Angeles County Courthouse, James's legal team presented their case with precision. "Mr. Wilson has been Maya's father figure for 5 years," his attorney argued before Judge Anderson. "He attended every parent-teacher conference, nursed every fever, celebrated every milestone. Biology isn't the only measure of parenthood." The words stung Miguel, not because they were meant to hurt, but because they held truth. He watched James in the courtroom, seeing not an adversary, but a man who loved Maya as deeply as he was learning to. During a recess, he found James in the courthouse corridor. "Maya showed me the Father's Day card she made you last year," Miguel said, breaking the tense silence. "The one where she drew you as a superhero. She keeps it in her special box at our house." James looked up, surprised. "She's proud of it," Miguel continued, "as she should be." Something shifted in James' expression. "She has your smile," he said finally. "I noticed it the first time I saw you in court. She does this little half-smirk when she's trying not to laugh. Just like you." Meanwhile, at the botanical gardens, Maya walked hand in hand with Rosa, who listened patiently as the little girl tried to make sense of her expanding world. "Abuela," she said, testing out the name Rosa had offered her. "Why are Daddy James and Daddy Miguel fighting?" Rosa stopped by a butterfly garden, watching the delicate creatures float between flowers. "Sometimes, mi cielo, people who love someone very much forget that love isn't like a pie. It doesn't get smaller when it's shared. It grows bigger." The media attention intensified when an ambitious local reporter discovered Miguel had recused himself from several past cases involving James's tech company. The suggestion of conflicted interests, though unfounded, required formal investigation. Miguel faced an ethics review board, his years of careful judicial decisions scrutinized through a new lens. But it was a quiet moment at Isabella and Miguel's home that began to turn the tide. James had come to drop off Maya's forgotten science project, arriving just as Miguel was helping her adjust her telescope in the backyard. Without thinking, Maya grabbed both their hands, excited to show them Jupiter's moons. "Look," she exclaimed, "you can see 3 of them tonight." Her joy at sharing the discovery with both father figures made any argument about exclusive rights seem suddenly small. That night after Maya had gone home with James, Miguel received an unexpected text, a photo of Maya still peering through her bedroom telescope, with a message from James. She's got your curiosity. Maybe we should focus on what she's gained rather than what any of us might lose. Jennifer's suggestion to host a shared Thanksgiving dinner had seemed impossible at first. Yet here they were, in her spacious Marina del Rey apartment, the ocean visible through floor-to-ceiling windows, attempting to blend four family traditions into one celebration. The autumn sun cast golden light across a table that seemed to represent all of Los Angeles. Chinese dumplings beside turkey, enchiladas next to cranberry sauce, and Rosa's flan taking pride of place among traditional pumpkin pies. Maya bounced between the kitchen and living room, wearing the chef's apron Isabella had given her, proudly showing James' parents how to fold dumplings under Jennifer's mother's guidance. Mrs. Wilson, still uncertain about her role in this expanding family, found herself smiling as Maya called her Grandma Nancy with unshakable certainty. The secret is in the pleats, Jennifer's mother, Lin Wei, explained to the group gathered around the kitchen island. Her expert hands demonstrated the technique she learned from her own mother in Taipei. Isabella watched intently, her surgeon's fingers quickly mastering the delicate folds. In the living room, Miguel and James discovered a shared passion for vintage jazz while setting up the dining table. Miles Davis, James asked, noticing Miguel's reaction to the background music. My father's collection, Miguel explained. I grew up falling asleep to Kind of Blue. James's face lit up. That album got me through coding my first startup. The afternoon flowed more smoothly than anyone had dared to hope, though undercurrents of tension surfaced in small ways. Quick glances, careful pauses in conversation, the occasional awkward silence. Rosa, ever the peacemaker, would fill these moments with stories from her teaching days, making everyone laugh with tales of elementary school mishaps. More water, please. Maya called from her seat between her two grandmothers. As Jennifer reached for the pitcher, Maya's enthusiastic gesture sent her glass of grape juice tumbling across the white tablecloth. Time seemed to freeze as the purple liquid spread. Then something unexpected happened. Isabella, reaching for napkins, knocked over her own water glass. Well, she said, laughter bubbling up. I guess I needed to refresh my drink anyway. The shared laughter that followed felt like a release valve, dissolving the careful politeness that had dominated the afternoon. Mi cielo! Rosa exclaimed, hugging Maya as the little girl's eyes welled with tears. Now we have a proper family dinner. In my house, it's not a real celebration until something spills. As they cleaned up together, the adults found themselves sharing stories of their own family disasters. James's father recalled the Great Turkey Fire of 2010, while Lin Wei described a dumpling-making session that ended with flour covering every surface of her kitchen. These shared memories of imperfect moments somehow made their current situation feel more normal, more manageable. Later, as sunset painted the sky in spectacular colors, Maya convinced everyone to join her on the balcony. She pointed out constellations to her grandparents, using the astronomy knowledge she gained from her weekend sessions with Miguel. James snapped a photo of the moment, Maya surrounded by all her grandparents, their faces tilted skyward as she explained about Orion's belt. Look, she said, her small finger tracing the stars. It's like a family. Some stars look far apart, but they're actually connected in ways you can't see right away. The adults exchanged glances, touched by the wisdom in her simple observation. As the evening wound down, Jennifer found herself in the kitchen with Isabella, putting away leftovers. Thank you, she said softly, for making space in your heart for her. Isabella wrapped a container of dumplings, considering her words carefully. Maya makes it easy, she replied. She has a way of making the heart grow wider. The elementary school auditorium buzzed with excitement as parents filed in for the spring production of Alice in Wonderland. Backstage, Maya adjusted her Alice headband, peeking through the curtain at the filling seats. Her heart skipped when she spotted them, all four of her parents sitting together in the third row. Isabella helped Miguel straighten his tie, while Jennifer and James saved seats for the grandparents who were running late from traffic. Places everyone. Mrs. Rodriguez, the drama teacher, called out. Maya, remember what we practiced. Project your voice all the way to the back row. Maya nodded, But her mind was on the morning's events when she overheard her mom on the phone discussing another court date. The stage lights dimmed and the familiar music began. Maya stepped into the spotlight, her voice clear and strong. "If I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense. Nothing would be what it is, because everything would be what it isn't." She paused, looking directly at her family in the audience. And contrary-wise, what it is, it wouldn't be, and what it wouldn't be, it would. From the third row, Miguel felt his chest tighten. The words seemed to carry extra weight, reflecting their own topsy-turvy world where traditional family roles have been turned upside down. Isabella squeezed his hand, while 2 seats over, James leaned forward, recording on his phone with pride. During the tea party scene, Maya's ad-libbed line, "There's always room for more at the table," brought unexpected tears to Jennifer's eyes. She glanced at Isabella, remembering their first awkward tea together, how far they'd come since then. After the final bow, Maya ran through the crowd, still in her costume, and threw herself into a group hug that included all 4 parents. The moment was captured by Rosa, who showed the photo to Mrs. Rodriguez. "That's what I call a standing ovation for life," the drama teacher remarked with a knowing smile. Later, at the local Café Gratitude, the adults sat together while Maya showed her grandparents around the restaurant's small butterfly garden. The conversation turned serious as James set his phone on the table, custody agreement documents open on the screen. "Watching her tonight," he began, "made me realize something. Maybe we're approaching this all wrong. Instead of fighting over time splits and legal rights, we should be asking what makes Maya shine like she did on that stage." Jennifer nodded, pulling out her planner. "She thrives on consistency. What if we created a schedule that's more about her activities than our convenience? Like Miguel and Isabella taking her to astronomy club, James handling her coding classes, and the art classes she loves at the Getty," Isabella added. "Those could be special times with Jennifer." Miguel, the judge who had seen countless custody battles, turned bitter, felt hope rising. "We're not dividing a child," he said. "We're multiplying the love and support she has." They spent the next hour crafting a cooperative agreement that played to each parent's strengths. James's tech expertise would nurture Maya's budding interest in computers. Miguel's love of science would support her curiosity about the stars. Jennifer's international experience would help maintain Maya's connection to her Chinese heritage, while Isabella's medical background meant Maya had a trusted confidant for any health worries. As they worked, Maya's voice carried from the garden, explaining to her grandparents how butterflies navigate by the sun. "They always know where they're going," she said, "because they follow the light." The 4 parents exchanged glances, recognizing the wisdom in her words. Sometimes the simplest truths came wrapped in the most innocent packages. 1 year after Maya's courtroom declaration, the Ramirez's Silver Lake backyard had transformed into a magical wonderland. Paper lanterns sway in the gentle breeze, and a handmade banner proclaimed "Happy 7th Birthday, Maya" in sparkling letters. The theme was space and science, a perfect blend of Maya's love for astronomy and her growing interest in coding, inspired by her 2 fathers. Isabella orchestrated the decorations with surgical precision, while Jennifer arranged the activity stations. A robot building workshop, a mini planetarium tent, and a cosmic cupcake decorating station. The crowning glory stood in the corner of the yard, an elaborate treehouse, the result of a month-long collaboration between Miguel and James, who had discovered they made a surprisingly effective construction team. "Look what Abuela Rosa taught me to make," Maya exclaimed, showing off origami stars to her friends from school. Rosa beamed nearby, sharing her secret folding technique with Mrs. Wilson and Lin Wei. The 3 grandmothers had formed their own unexpected alliance, meeting monthly for mahjong and sharing stories of their grandchild's latest adventures. James arrived early with his laptop, setting up a gaming station where kids could code simple space animations. Ready for the big reveal? He asked Miguel, nodding toward the treehouse. They had added a final touch last night, a professional-grade telescope mounted on the observation deck. The party buzzed with the energy of 20 excited second graders, their laughter mixing with conversations in English, Spanish, and Mandarin. Maya flitted between groups in her special birthday dress, a custom design featuring constellations that lit up with tiny LED lights, a collaboration between Jennifer and Isabella that had sealed their friendship during late-night sewing sessions. Miguel, now presiding over civil court cases, found himself sharing judge stories with one of the parent guests, a public defender who appreciated how his recent experiences had deepened his understanding of family dynamics in the legal system. Sometimes, he reflected, the law needs to make room for love. The highlight came when Maya unveiled her science fair project, a family tree unlike any other. Instead of traditional branches, she had created a solar system, with herself as the sun and all her family members as planets and stars orbiting around her. See, she explained to her captivated audience, everyone has their own special orbit, but we're all connected by gravity. That's love. Her teachers had been amazed by the project, not just for its creativity, but for what it represented. A child who had turned what could have been a confusing family situation into something beautiful and orderly, like the universe itself. As evening approached, the families gathered around the telescope. James and Miguel took turns helping children spot Saturn's rings, while Isabella shared fascinating facts about space medicine. Jennifer translated the astronomical terms into Mandarin, teaching the children how to say galaxy and stardust in 3 languages. The birthday cake, a masterpiece of astronomical accuracy created by Rosa and Mrs. Wilson, featured all 8 planets and Pluto. Because everyone deserves to be included, Maya had insisted. As they sang happy birthday in 3 languages, Maya closed her eyes to make a wish, though later she would confide in Isabella that she couldn't think of anything to wish for. She already had everything she needed. After the party, as the adults cleaned up under the starlit sky, Maya dozed in her new treehouse, surrounded by her birthday gifts. The telescope pointed heavenward, her coding laptop charged and ready for tomorrow's lessons, and a family photo album filled with images of love in all its forms lay open beside her. You know, Jennifer said softly to the group, a year ago, I was terrified of what might happen in that courtroom. Now look at us. Miguel smiled, watching Isabella and James debate the best way to store the leftover cosmic cupcakes. We didn't just make it work, he replied. We made it wonderful. Above them, the stars twinkled like distant lanterns, bearing witness to a family that have learned to orbit together in perfect harmony, proving that love, like the universe itself, is constantly expanding.